Hello everybody, welcome back to a video, and yeah, we're talking about Scream, and happy Halloween, everybody. The trailer for Scream 7 got released yesterday. I've already watched it a few times. It's really good, in my opinion. The trailer, it's honestly the best trailer for the Scream series, in my opinion. It's a lot better than the original look at Scream 6, which was just essentially the subway scene. But really cool first look at the movie. I'm just going to jump right into this. If you haven't seen the trailer yet, I would highly recommend watching it before this video. So let's just go ahead and do this. So, Stu's house. This seems like open and kill, right? This has to be the opening to the movie. Because to my understanding, there was one like set photo which showed that this movie primarily is going to be set in Indiana, I think. So to have California, where Woodsboro is, have a role in the movie kind of makes it seem like Ghostface is going to start there and then make his way to Indiana. Of course, that could be incorrect. Sidney could still be in California. But still, interesting thing to point out. I'll say this. Biggest surprise was some of the restraint. Because you got some people from the franchise's past who are dead that don't even have any speaking lines. There's one line which sounds like it could be David Arquette, Dewey. That ending line is absolutely Matthew Lillard. The other line that's kind of a mystery voice, it's either David Arquette or Scott Foley. I listened to it a couple of times. It sounds more like David Arquette, but more like he sounded in Scream 1 than he did Scream 5, if that makes sense. But I'm shocked they didn't just show Stu, which could lend to the whole, oh, it's going to be someone using AI. But I don't know. Because my take on the whole AI thing is, if you do that, no one's happy. Right? It feels like middle ground in a situation that's very clearly a black or white thing when it comes to the whole is Stu alive not thing. Right? It's, yay, Matthew Lillard's back, but he's only doing AI. You know, it's not Stu. It's someone pretending to be Stu. Which might actually just be the route that this Ghostface is taking. Right? Pretending to be Stu. If it's not Stu, this is someone who maybe is tricking Sidney into thinking that it's Stu. Which, by the way, there's a great video by the Film Theory channel that actually shows that there is scientific proof that Stu most likely is still alive in a scientific sense. That the TV falling on his head actually could be survivable. Go watch that video. It is a terrific one. Not going to dive into all that here. Point is, scientifically, Stu could still be alive. So maybe this could be playing into that. You know, because Ghostface, which is the voice of Ghostface, Roger L. Jackson, says, you know, reminds me of where we grew up. So this, to me, is coming across as someone pretending to be Stu if it's not Stu himself. Which, by the way, I think legitimately this movie looks awesome. I know I said that earlier in the video, but seriously, this is an incredible trailer. But the main people that get speaking lines are Sidney, her daughter Tatum, Ghostface, Mystery Voice, Stu, and Gale. Mystery Voice most likely being David Arquette Dewey, who is in the cast. So, you know, there's some people that don't have any lines. For example, Joel McHale of Community fame. He's been in other stuff. That's just, I think, probably what he's most famous for is playing Sidney's husband. and Chad and Mindy are back from the previous two movies. Which, by the way, I want to bring this up. People are not wanting to watch this movie because of the drama with Melissa Barrera, saying to boycott it for her and blah blah blah. Would people that she's friends with, I believe she is friends with the actor and actress for Chad and Mindy. Their names are Mason Gooding and Jasmine Savoy Brown. They slipped my mind for a second. Would they have agreed to do this movie if they were in favor of a boycott? That's just my take on the matter. Is why are you doing this? Clearly, it's not a personal thing. The whole situation seems professional. But I'm not diving into that any more than that. It's just, I think that the whole point is, if you wanted to do that, and it actually be something that makes a difference, why would people that she's friends with agree to be in this movie? That is my take on it. There you go. Not diving into the actual reasoning for the controversy. That is not the place, in my opinion, for a trailer video. But, they show up for a few frames. So, yeah, let's talk about some of the things I've said in past videos. First of all, it definitely looks like Chad and Mindy will not be the opening kill for this movie, which I kind of figured they weren't going to be, but at the same time, I was thinking that would be an awesome way to set the stakes right there, because these two survived Scream 6, after getting injured significantly during that movie and during 2022. This would be your easiest way to replicate Cotton at the beginning of Scream 3. No one is safe. They're not going to have that angle, so it's interesting to see what role they'll play. Because when I made my video on predictions, to me, that was the easiest role they could fill. Could they wind up being Ghostface this time as a sort of meta look on how people act with this franchise? Because right now, it is a divided fandom between Sydney fans, Sydney, Neve Campbell, the original crew, and the new, fans of the original movies, and fans of the newer movies with people like Melissa Barrera and Jenna Ortega. That actually could be an interesting route to go down, having them be Ghostface, maybe blaming Sydney for whatever in-universe reason Melissa Barrera is not in this movie. That's an option that they could go down. But let's address the fact that I think I might have called what this movie is back in 2023, I think. Yeah, I'm taking a victory lap. One of the earliest videos in the channel, I laid out a pitch. I was building a little Lego promo. I laid out a pitch for Scream 7, which is Stu is alive, regrets his decisions, builds his cult of Ghostface with the intention to end the franchise. I don't think the cult of Ghostface, which my pitch was, is composed of different killers who might have survived and people related to past victims. That might not happen, but the idea of Stu coming back to end the franchise, burn it down, now that actually might be happening. So until the movie airs, till the movie is out, this is looking like the most likely option. I might have called this movie not 3 years ago exactly. It was probably closer. Yeah, it was like 2.5 years ago. About 2.5 years ago, I think. That's crazy that I might have called it that long ago. Obviously not in its original state, but it's just really cool that I've made some let's just say incorrect predictions on this channel. My prediction for Guardians 3, where I thought Gamora was going to cause an incursion, being maybe the most wrong I've ever been about anything, ever. Anyway, yeah. The whole thing with Stu's house burning down and Ghostface literally saying, I'm going to burn it down. I think it's referring to the franchise. My prediction when I made that pitch was, what are they going to talk about with this new movie? It's always a different type of movie. First one's horror movies, second one's sequels, third one's trilogies, fourth one's remakes, fifth one is legacy sequels, sixth is franchises. Where do you go after franchises? Franchise finales. Ghostface burning down Stu's house, where the climax of what is right now a third of the series has taken place. 2 separate murder sprees end at Stu's house. It could be, now, for whatever reason, Stu wanting to end the series, but, I mean, does he have regrets? Maybe. I mean, he did say it was peer pressure that caused him to do it. So, I mean, maybe that's what it is. Stu has regrets, or maybe he wants to do it again, this time end it. He survived. Maybe he's just thinking, okay, I need to end this. This is getting out of hand. Maybe you could even tie it into Scream 6 and say that Sidney not being involved in the events of Scream 6 is part of the reason he decides to do this spree. He's trying to wait for as many people as possible from the franchise to get together, and he just doesn't have the opportunity to get Melissa Barrera and Jenna Ortega. And he's just like, okay, fine, I'm going to have to settle with them. I'm just going to have to settle with who I can get. Either way, I think that this is an interesting route to go down for the series. Stu's return is obviously something that is a big deal if he is actually alive, which was Kevin Williamson's original plan for Scream 3. By the way, he is officially listed as a screenwriter on Scream 7, as well as directing. So, that's cool. So, my opinion, I think Stu is trying to burn it all down. Just like I said back in the older video. I'm going to leave a link to it so you guys can watch it and be like, man, this guy might be right. If so, I might put that, if that's how the movie actually goes down, and it's Stu coming back to end the franchise, with that being his explicit goal, well then, I might just put that in the YouTube bio. I predicted Scream 7 before it even went into production. So yeah, if you can't tell, I'm super excited about this trailer, not just because it makes an early theory of mine seem like it might be correct, but just because the trailer itself looks awesome as well. Seriously, maybe my favorite trailer from this year. Only thing is, why didn't it release on Halloween? It released the day before Halloween, not on Halloween itself. But anyway, that is going to end it for this video, because this has just turned into a lot of rambling. Oh, also, Ghostface explicitly says, I'm not hiding this time. So they're definitely setting up a potential mastermind twist of some sort. Kind of like Roman in Scream 3, except probably a little bit bigger. Or who knows, maybe the killer this time wants to make Sidney believe Stu is alive. Which could be an interesting route to go down if this killer is not just being Ghostface, but is acting like Stu. But either way, that is it for this video. Links on screen now for that older video. Bye. Also, like and subscribe.